Season 4, AI and Jobs. Episode 4, How AI Turns Workers into Metrics. One. Introduction. When a person becomes a number. A worker used to be evaluated by a human. A manager watched how you handled problems. Co-workers saw how you supported the team. Clients felt whether they trusted you. Experience and judgment mattered, even when they were hard to measure. AI is changing this. In AI-managed workplaces, a worker increasingly becomes a set of metrics. A score. A ranking. A performance curve. A risk profile. The promise is fairness and efficiency. Measure everything, and you eliminate bias. Quantify performance, and you reward merit. But the reality is more complicated. Metrics do not remove power. They reorganize it. And when AI turns workers into metrics, it changes how work feels, how wages are set, how control operates, and how dignity is either protected or stripped away. This episode explains how this happens, why it is spreading, and what it means for the future of labor. 2. Why metrics expand when AI arrives. AI systems need data. Data begins with measurement. If a company wants AI to optimize work, it must quantify work. That means tracking time, tracking output, tracking errors, tracking interactions, tracking customer ratings, tracking compliance. Before AI, some of this measurement existed, but it was limited. AI expands it because AI can process large volumes of behavioral data and turn it into automated evaluations. So the first step in turning workers into metrics is the expansion of measurement infrastructure. Work becomes legible to systems. 3. The economic incentive. Metrics reduce costs. Metrics are not adopted because they are morally superior. They are adopted because they reduce costs. With metrics, companies can standardize evaluation, reduce managerial discretion, automate supervision, increase output per worker, identify who to reward or punish, decide who to hire or fire. Metrics make labor management scalable. Scalable management is profitable. AI makes metric management faster, cheaper, and more continuous. This is why the trend spreads. 4. Why metrics are not neutral. A metric is a choice. Someone decides what matters. Speed, volume, accuracy, customer satisfaction, sales conversion, compliance. The metric reflects the priorities of the institution. If the institution prioritizes speed, speed becomes the value. If the institution prioritizes cost reduction, workers are judged by cost efficiency. If the institution prioritizes customer ratings, workers become dependent on customer moods. Metrics do not describe reality objectively. They define the reality the organization rewards. This is power. When AI makes metrics central, it makes institutional priorities central. 5. The process, from tracking to scoring. Turning workers into metrics usually happens in stages. Stage 1 is tracking. Work is monitored, but evaluation is still human. Stage 2 is scoring. Work is translated into numbers. KPIs, dashboards, scorecards. Stage 3 is automation. Scores trigger decisions. Scheduling, bonuses, warnings, termination risk. Stage 4 is prediction. The system predicts future performance. Churn risk, error likelihood, reliability forecasts. At this stage, the worker is not only judged by what they did, but by what the system predicts they might do. This is the full metric transformation. 6. Why I make scoring more invasive. Traditional scoring systems were limited. They measured outputs that were easy to count. AI expands what can be scored. It can analyze communication, emails, chats, call transcripts. It can analyze behavior patterns, response timing, tone indicators, interaction frequency. It can analyze movement, location signals, time away from desk, activity levels in monitored environments. AI can turn previously human context into machine-readable signals. This makes metrics more invasive. It also makes them harder to challenge, because the scoring logic becomes opaque. 7. The myth of fairness through numbers. Metrics are often justified as fairness. Humans are biased. Numbers are neutral. But numbers are not neutral. Numbers reflect what is measured, how it is measured, what is ignored, how data is collected, how errors are handled. If measurement is biased, the metric is biased. If customers are biased, ratings are biased. If opportunities are uneven, output metrics reflect unequal starting points. Fairness cannot be automated by measurement. It requires judgment and context. AI scoring often removes context. That can increase unfairness. 8. Why metrics punish the unmeasurable. Some work is hard to measure. Mentoring new employees. Calming angry customers before escalation. Preventing problems before they occur. Building trust in a team. Improving processes quietly. If work is not measured, it may not count. When AI systems evaluate workers, they focus on what generates data. This shifts incentives. Workers stop doing unmeasured work. They focus on measurable outputs. This can degrade organizational health. It also devalues forms of labor that matter but cannot be easily quantified. The worker becomes what the metric sees. 9. The gaming problem, Goodhart's law in the workplace. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. This pattern appears repeatedly. If workers are judged by call length, they rush calls. If judged by tickets closed, they close tickets quickly, not well. If judged by customer ratings, they perform emotional labor to secure ratings, even at personal cost. AI systems intensify this because scoring becomes continuous. Workers learn what the system rewards and adapt. Performance becomes optimization of metrics rather than achievement of real outcomes. This is not dishonesty. It is survival. When your job depends on a score, you become loyal to the score. 10. The pressure effect, metrics create constant competition. Metrics create rankings. Rankings create competition. Competition creates pressure. In a metric-based workplace, you are always compared. Compared to co-workers. Compared to past performance. Compared to targets that can rise. AI makes this constant. No end-of-year evaluation. The evaluation never stops. This changes how workers experience time. Work becomes an endless test. That erodes psychological safety. It increases burnout. And burnout reduces dignity. 11. Why metrics shift power to management. Metrics appear objective, but they increase managerial power. Because management sets the metric. Management can change targets. Management can decide which metrics matter most. Management can interpret scores without explanation. AI adds another layer. The scoring system itself becomes a managerial tool. It provides justification. If a worker is punished, the system provides numbers. Numbers make decisions look inevitable. Workers have less ability to argue. The system becomes the authority. Management becomes the interpreter of the authority. That is power. 12. Automated discipline and the loss of negotiation. In human workplaces, negotiation exists. A worker can explain context. They can ask for flexibility. They can appeal to a manager's judgment. AI scoring reduces this. If the system flags you, the flag becomes a fact. If the system predicts risk, you may be treated as risky. Automated discipline is faster. It is also less humane. There is no conversation with an algorithm. This reduces agency. Work becomes governed, not managed. 13. Invisible performance problem. AI scoring can misinterpret behavior. A worker helping a coworker may appear less productive. A worker taking time to prevent a future error may look slow. A worker dealing with a complex case may have worse metrics than someone handling easy cases. If the system does not capture context, the worker's real contribution becomes invisible. This is one of the most damaging effects. People want recognition. Metrics can remove recognition by reducing work to what the system can count. This erodes motivation. 14. AI and emotional labor as a metric. In service roles, metrics often include customer satisfaction. This shifts emotional labor onto workers. Be polite. Be cheerful. Be patient. Absorb anger. Even when conditions are unfair. If ratings determine pay or scheduling, workers become dependent on customer moods. AI systems can intensify this by analyzing tone and sentiment. Now emotional performance becomes measured. The worker is scored not only on output, but on emotional presentation. This turns personality into labor. It cheapens dignity by treating emotions as a product. 15. Why metrics create new forms of discrimination. Even if discrimination is not explicit, metrics can produce unequal outcomes. If certain workers receive harder tasks, their metrics suffer. If certain neighborhoods produce more conflict, workers serving them receive lower ratings. If customers are biased ratings become data. AI systems trained on past metrics can reinforce these patterns. The system learns what high performer looks like. If past high performers benefited from privilege, the system encodes privilege. This is how inequality becomes automated. 16. The predictive layer, risk scores for workers. AI can predict which workers might quit. Which workers might make errors. Which workers might be unreliable. These predictions can influence decisions. Who gets training? Who gets promotion? Who gets stable schedules? This creates a feedback loop. If the system predicts you are likely to leave, you may be given fewer opportunities. That makes leaving more likely. Prediction becomes destiny. A person becomes a risk score. And risk scores are hard to escape. 17. Workers as data sources. AI systems also treat workers as data sources. Every action becomes training data. Every correction becomes feedback. Workers improve systems while doing their jobs. But workers rarely benefit from that improvement. They do not own the system. They do not share profits. They contribute, but value is captured by owners. This creates another layer of cheapening. The worker becomes both labor and data. Without ownership. 18. Why this spreads even when it makes work worse. If metric management harms morale, why do companies keep adopting it? Because it improves controllability. Control is valuable. Even if it increases burnout, it can still increase output in the short run. Also, metrics produce defensible decisions. If layoffs happen, metrics justify them. If promotions happen, metrics justify them. Numbers protect institutions. Even when workers suffer, organizations gain predictability. This is why metric systems spread. 19. What a healthier metric system would require. Metrics are not inherently evil. Measurement can help. But healthy metric systems require transparency in what is measured and why. Contextual review, not automated punishment. Worker participation in defining metrics. Protection against biased customer ratings. Limits on surveillance. Clear appeal processes. Recognition of unmeasurable contributions. Without these protections, metrics become control tools. AI turns them into continuous control. 20. Core takeaway. AI turns workers into metrics by expanding measurement, automating evaluation, and embedding scoring into management decisions. This changes work from a relationship to a system. It shifts power upward. It rewards what can be counted and punishes what cannot. It increases pressure and reduces autonomy. Workers become numbers not because it is fair, but because numbers are scalable and profitable. If this episode helped you understand how AI turns workers into metrics, like this video so more people can see it. Share it with someone who thinks workplace AI is only about productivity. And subscribe to Uncovering Facts for deep, hype-free explanations of technology, power, work, and society. Next episode, the hidden cost of AI productivity.